the year 2021, when everyone was obsessed with anime, old fashion, and those weird looking mushrooms. But along with COVID slowly going away, a new thing replaced its place on TikTok and every mentally unstable teenage girl's mind: killing stalking. Back then, when I was also part of the mentally unstable teenage girl group, I had read Killing Stalking up to chapter 50 something before I got incredibly bored and dropped it. And now, 3 years later, from my short period of reading it, all I remember is that the manhwa had a lot of blood, abuse, degradation, Stockholm syndrome, and of course, manipulation, which everyone counted as toxic love. The official synopsis for Killing Stalking is: the story follows Yoonbum, a young mentally ill man with a difficult past. After becoming infatuated with Oh Sangwoo, a bit from his time in the military who saved him from a rape attempt, he decides to enter Sangwoo's home while he is out of his house. Yoonbum finds a bruised woman in Sangwoo's basement and then discovered by Sangwoo, who's revealed to be a serial— Why is this spoiling so much? Actually wait, we're gonna skip that. Manhwa has 67 chapters, but like my last video, we're gonna stick to the first 10. Disclaimer! This manhwa and video covers topics like kidnapping, abuse, SA, Stockholm syndrome, codependent relationships, and a lot of other very uncomfortable stuff. So if you feel the need to click off or skip, please feel free to do so. Well, I haven't got much else to say, so let's begin. Chapter 1. We get introduced to our main character, Yoonbum, who's in love with our second main character, Sangwoo. God, these names are already bringing out bad memories. Yoonbum is in love with Sangwoo, like, really down bad for him. But he's scared of making any moves because of being seen like a stalker. We get some flashback scenes of how he first made eye contact with Sangwoo and how when he was in the military, Sangwoo was able to save him from being essayed. Thanks to both of that, he began to fall for him. Back to the present, and Yoonbum is trying to casually break into Sangwoo's house when the police come over to the gate. They were first suspicious of this wimpy looking kid, but after he said that he was a relative, they backed off, but stayed long enough to watch him try to open the door. He presses a code. He fails, and as the police is about to beat his ass, he opens the door! Inside Sangwoo's house, Yoonbum almost begins to, pleasure himself when he hears a noise in the basement. He goes down and sees a tied up woman in the basement, but as he tries to help her and fails miserably, Sangwoo bashes in his fucking head! Chapter 2. Yoonbum is baffled by Sangwoo's behavior, and as he's getting dragged away, he manages to run up the stairs. But not for long, because Sangwoo broke his ankle, making him fall down. As he fears for his life, Yoonbum confesses that he was in love with him, and that's why he broke in. Sangwoo suddenly changes his behavior and even invites him upstairs, but shoves him down the stairs before he could even get to the top. Meanwhile, the two officers talk about Sangwoo, and one of them suggests that he killed his parents, but quickly gets brushed off by the other police officer. Lamau. Yoonbum wakes up in a basement, almost naked and chained to a pole. We find out that the girl is dead and that Yoonbum's ankles are broken. Oh, and that Sangwoo confessed to killing his dad. Anyways, Sangwoo finds a twinge of compassion in himself and begins to feed Yoonbum very expensive porridge. He praises Yoonbum for living longer than the girl, while spilling the porridge on his face. And Yoonbum— Damn, y'all both fucking crazy. But Sangwoo isn't! What the fuck is this? Oh my fucking god. He degraded him before kissing him? What the fuck are these mood swings? However, Yoonbum sees this as an act of kindness, because he's so disgusting, but Sangwoo was still willing to kiss him. Yoonbum makes the grave mistake of showing that his other leg is fine. So Sangwoo breaks it. Chapter 3. I know I said this already, but my god, please disclaimer, there is a lot of triggering shit here. A week passes and Yoonbum is whining and eating painkillers because of his broken leg. Sangwoo gets tired of this and begins cutting Yoonbum's collar skin. Fortunately or unfortunately, he pisses himself. Sangwoo, ever so kind, begins washing and degrading him when Yoonbum begs for him to not live in the basement anymore. To that, Sangwoo drops the hardest one-liner ever. Sangwoo dresses Yoonbum into a country hall, and as he leaves for a moment, Yoonbum thinks about escaping, and Sangwoo belittles him for not doing so. Either way, the two make an agreement that Yoonbum can go wherever he wants in the house, but not leave it. As Yoonbum is trembling, Sangwoo compares him to his mother, even telling him that he loves him. Yoonbum says it back, but Sangwoo says that he meant that to his mother, and suggests that Yoonbum be the mother. He sits him down in the kitchen, and forces him to make dinner. Chapter 4. Why are we actually going kind of fast for these chapters? Are these chapters were like relatively long while I was reading them. Did I really shorten them down that much, or am I just reading too quickly? Oh well, whatever. After explaining how Sangwoo beats Yoonbum up after any mistake, makes him eat on the floor, and manipulates him to a point where only he cares about Sangwoo's mood, Yoonbum makes a plan to escape. He talks and talks, encourages and encourages, but the moment Sangwoo comes up to see him, He's peacefully sitting in his chair. As Sangwoo is searching for something, Yoonbum imagines stabbing his eye out, but we all know he doesn't have the balls for it. Instead, Yoonbum realizes that he can only really live if he kills Sangwoo, so he tries to find an opening. The opening comes when he finds a bottle of rat poison and poisons the soup he makes, but to his surprise, he gets invited to eat the soup together. But obviously, Sangwoo isn't that stupid, and before he eats the first spoon, he asks Yoonbum to eat it. Probably because Yoonbum was staring at him like a fucking idiot. But you know what? Okay, whatever, I guess. Yoonbum thinks he'll be safe if he just puts the soup in his mouth and doesn't swallow it, but Sangwoo touched his neck in a weird motion, and he does. When I first saw this, I remember trying so hard to forcibly swallow like that, but it never worked. Yoonbum throws up in the sink and thinks about escaping again, but he faints before he could do so. Sangwoo finds him on the floor and finds another kind bone in himself because he lays him down on the bed instead of the basement. After giving Yoonbum some medicine, Sangwoo explains a bit of how his father was abusive and how he would regularly dent the little table Yoonbum ate from. Yoonbum tries to explain his own backstory, but like myself with most backstories, Sangwoo doesn't give a single fuck, and even degrades Yoonbum for feeling lonely. But anyways, skip. Wait, they're making out now? Yoonbum goes a little too hard and even suggests giving head to Sangwoo. When met with a decline, Yoonbum instead pleasures himself and shows off the residue on his hands. However, the sexual tactic was very effective. Sangwoo even ends up blushing! Chapter 6. Next day, Yoonbum spills soup and thinks he's gonna get hit again, but I guess that the sexual tactic was so effective that it even changed the trajectory of Sangwoo's thoughts because he runs the burn under cold water instead. Anyways, Sangwoo shoves an ice cube into his mouth and makes out with him? Yoonbum is absolutely flabbergasted, like me, by the switch in Sangwoo's personality, but he gets kind of used to it. In fact, this relationship progresses so much that they end up sleeping together. And of course making out. The kisses escalate to, oh my god Sangwoo, why did you just say that? Yoonbum successfully sucks Sangwoo off, and everything about Yoonbum's life changes. He doesn't have to do chores anymore, Sangwoo doesn't insult or hit him anymore. Honestly, this seems like a healthy relationship at this point. Except for the isolation, Stockholm syndrome, codependence, and the 2 broken legs, but whatever I guess. Sangwoo leaves the house, and Yoonbum is ecstatic. Chapter 7. Yoonbum changes his clothes and heads to the front door. He sits in front of her, and after some taunting, he says that he loves Sangwoo, to which imaginary Sangwoo asks if he really means it. Yoonbum gets hallucinations of his neck getting sliced and he almost goes crazy, but he opens the door to find Sangwoo sitting on the porch, singing the lovely song that he hears every time he, walks up the basement. That was such a short summary, damn. Chapter 8. Seeing Sangwoo, Yuham begs, cries and tells him that he loves him, but suddenly remembers that his purpose on this planet and tries to get out. Ever so kind Sangwoo opens the gate for him and even helps him scream for help. After all that, Sangwoo intends to bring Yoonbum home, but after some retaliation, he bids him up on a car. Sangwoo then brings Yoonbum to the basement and asks him what tool he wants him to use to slice open his neck. Yoonbum, however, takes off his clothes and tries to seduce Sangwoo, which fails miserably. Instead of the neck slicing, Sangwoo decides that it's better to hang Yoonbum, and as Yoonbum is crying for help, Sangwoo gets hard because of his name? I mean this in the nicest way possible, but actually how the fuck are they gonna get together? Please manhwa gods tell me that they don't get together. This is too painful to read and I'm only 8 chapters in. Sangwoo gets off at him and waterboards Yoonbum because he asks what the hell he wanted. Yoonbum digs his nails into Sangwoo's legs, which makes Sangwoo grab a knife, position it on Yoonbum's leg, and slice it open. Just kidding, he only sliced open his chin. Look, he even bandaged it afterwards. As Yoonbum is contemplating his life decisions, Sangwoo brings him a friend. Chapter 9. Y'all, we're close to the end. A guy who I don't know the name of and who ultimately doesn't matter, asks for Sangwoo to let him go, and to try to bring them all three together, Sangwoo suggests that they play a card game for their lives, calling it Cops and Robbers. He says that whoever holds the joker at the end is the robber and whoever gets the last ace will be the cop. He also takes out the ace of clubs. I'm gonna be honest here, I don't know how card games work, so take this game explanation with a grain of salt. So at the end of the game there'll be 2 cards and each one of them will have one, a joker or a cop. Who dies, who lives? Hell if I know. Yoonbum wins, but Lamau it's actually the practice round. Anyway, more skipping, anticipation. Yeah, skipping. Sangwoo helps Yoonbum pick cards. Skip. Yoonbum likes it. Skip. Yoonbum gets the joker! Chapter 10. Now that the other guy won, Sangwoo tells him that he has to kill Yoonbum to go home. The man bitches. Sangwoo helps him. The man bitches. Someone blindfolds him. The man pussies out. Someone brings Yoonbum closer to the knife. The man counts. The man dies. After the beautifully committed crime, Sangwoo lets Yoonbum taste the blood of his hand and asks him how he feels about his first killing. That's 10 chapter summary. Was a lot shorter than usual. I think I cut out a lot of shit. I cut out a lot of backstory, I'm gonna be honest. Anyways, my god was that a tough read. And honestly, I don't think it gets any better. Anyway, with that hellhole behind me, let's move on to the review of plot, characters, and romance. Plot. One word. Psychotic. I don't mean this in a mean way, but the entire plot revolves around Sangwoo's sick mind and a little bit of Yoonbum's too. I like the progression of the two's relationship and the progression of Yoonbum's insanity, but it's really the only thing I like. I guess I'm excited to see if Sangwoo goes to jail or not, but I don't think I'm mentally prepared for the psychological mood swings and the amount of gore in this. It might be for someone else, but it sure as hell is not for me. Honestly, I'm not even sure how I got through 50 whole chapters 3 years ago, but I'm not surprised that I dropped it. Because if we're being real here, this type of plot is just gonna repeat itself until something happens, like Yoonbum successfully escaping or someone getting caught. Though either of them committing suicide is also not off the table. As well as, for the first time, I'm actually kind of curious about Sangwoo's backstory, or at least how that mentally changed him into becoming similar to his father and making his and Yoonbum's relationship similar to his parents' relationship. Props to Killing Stalking to being one of the very few manhwas that made me wonder about their backstories. Characters. Yoonbum. I feel sympathy for him, and I do, but also like he deserved it, but not as much as he's actually getting it. I mean, sure, he was a stalker and he was a little weird, but that doesn't mean you get to put him through horrific trauma. Sure, he's obsessive, but the point still stands. But at least he got a life with the man he loved, I guess. Not really a pleasant life, but a life nonetheless. I would belittle him because of how he acts, but unlike Skylar, Yoonbum is trapped against his will, his legs are broken, he gets hit, he killed someone, basically a lot worse than Skylar's situation. And that gives him privileges to cry. I would wish him to get out of that situation soon, because he clearly wants to, and Stockholm Syndrome is not an easy mental thing to fix, but he's also kind of liking it? So, anything that suits him, I guess. Kinky. Sangwoo. He's insane, even more insane than Cyrus is. If Cyrus is at least smart and manipulative, then Sangwoo is just being a dick. He's got motivations for some of the torture, like that guy trying to force him to suck his dick, but let's all be real here and just agree that he's not mentally stable and deserves to be in a mental institution. Like I said earlier, I am curious about Sangwoo's backstory, but that's probably the only empathy I'll ever give him. I wouldn't trust that man with a pencil. Romance. Honestly, there's more romance in the first 10 chapters than there is in the entire first season of Lost in a Cloud. Is most of it consensual? Half yes, half no, just like Lost in a Cloud. I'm not rooting for them, and I don't think anyone else should. I really hope that they don't get together by the end. Sure, they'll be happy, but it's definitely not good for their mental states. If you want, you can spoil me if they do or don't in the comments. Also, I am aware that the author said that the relationship should not be romanticized, and I fully agree. If you know anyone that is in an abusive situation, please contact the police. That was a roller coaster of 10 chapters, but I hope you enjoyed it. I tried a different format this time because I think more people would want to watch a sea lamb plush with a teacup on his head instead of a masked British blonde girl. Please comment what you think and if you think I should continue making videos this way. Also comment what the manhwas, mangas, or other BL content I should review. And follow me on my socials. Thank you so much for watching. Okay, bye, I'm taking a nap.